I liked our idea for
I don't want to wait.
Canadian Kingsman.
Oh, yeah, Woodsman?
Woodsman, yeah.
Oh,
so
that's good,
amazing.
right?
Be like lumberjack themed.
Yeah.
They'd have axes
And they'd say things like, hey, don't be rude to the lady, eh?
be like, oh, you want to go, bud?
Do you want to get a boot to boot your face? Welcome to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is Colin, and next to me is the doctor himself.
Hello.
And as always, we are joined by our producer, Richard.
Ahoy, hoy.
Each week, we talk about the world of DC Comics and field questions from listeners like you. While co-host Colin with the cleverness of Plastic Man, the optimism of Jimmy Olsen, the looniness of Gnort, the irreverence of Ambush Bug, and the naivete of Billy Batson, struggles valiantly to comprehend the knowledge imparted to him.
Yay!
That's amazing. And
I didn't think you were going to do it.
I can't believe you didn't just read the stage direction.
I was really expecting him to.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm really good at old-timey news radio voices.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
I'm surprised that a certain Canadian broadcasting corporation has not picked me up entirely for my old-timey voice.
One step at a time. You got in there pretty fast already.
Yeah, first step this podcast. Next step a national
That's clearly
broadcasting
the
corporation.
next step.
I do have the face for that radio station.
Well, that awesome What Colin Does actually was sent in by Cage Gnarly.
Gnarly.
Is that a real name? Cage Gnarly. That's a badass
Oh, I
name.
don't know if it's like a real...
Gnarly.
Well,
I hope it is, because
Cage Gnarly.
it sounds too cool to be... If it's... Please, let us know if it's real, because that... My name's Cage Gnarly.
If that kid doesn't say bra all the time, actually, I'm more proud of you.
What else did he write, Colin? Because this is on our iTunes.
Cage also wrote, the Dr. DC podcast is of a rare breed. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go old-timey.
You're going to do the
do
old-timey
whatever
voice
you
for this too? All
I
right,
got
let's
to
do
prepare
it.
my voice.
This is What Colin Does.
Apparently. The Dr. DC podcast is a rare breed. Of a rare breed. As someone with a podcast nearing years on the air, I've got a handle on what makes or breaks a new podcast launch. Right from the get-go, the podcast had a format, a plan, a theme, and stuck to it. Too many shows start off with an episode where the host says, here's the idea, I'm not too sure how it'll work. Guess we'll see and we'll make the changes as we go. But the doctor busted out from word go with a solid format. His knowledge is nigh unimpeachable, but he manages to impart it in a way that's more than a simple, boring info dump.
Oh, that was...
I'm glad that our famously strict format is finally getting its due.
I you know what? I take that as a personal...
Hey, guys.
That's
Nice and
basically like a direct producing show.
yeah, that really is, yeah.
Hey, guys. In news.
Wow. The last few episodes, you've been really gunning for the news.
I like the news.
All right, let's do it.
I'm
Let's
not
do it.
I'm
done.
not sure how much the fans do, because they're always just like, we want more questions.
Which,
You know what, though?
That's fair.
I feel like there's people out
I think
there
they're just narcissistic.
there's people who like the news, though, right?
we don't think that.
Hey,
we love you.
Hey, guys on Twitter and gals, if you like the news, hashtag news, yes. Yeah, and if you don't, just don't say anything.
Shut the fuck up.
Just don't be rude.
Oh, also, if you want to send in your own What Colin Does, all you need to do is give us a 5-star review on iTunes, and then write it out right in the little comments below. You can also write very nice things like everybody else has been.
Yeah.
Or terrible things. I don't really care. As long as you give a 5-star review.
There was that one mom who was like, maybe don't swear so much. And I was like, fuck.
Sorry, Carrie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carrie. So in news this week, Justice League's first reactions are in.
Yeah, so...
People have seen it.
There was a bit of a... Well, I think it's called the assembly cut. It's not the final cut of the film, but it's approaching. And so there was a bit of a screening of it. And in general, the reactions from it seem to have been really positive. There are a number of people who basically gave their opinions anonymously, because you're not supposed to go to these things and then talk about them. But people who self-professed did not like Batman versus Superman really liked Justice League.
That's a big deal.
They were using words like talking about how epic it was and the scale of it. So there's a fair bit of positive in that. But again,
that's a great first sign, in my opinion.
But the thing too, like these aren't. I don't know this for a fact, not being a Hollywood insider, but I'm pretty sure this audience isn't just like a random test sampling. It's not like a test screening. Like this would have been like an invite thing. So I don't know.
It's not like where they like grab some people at like a local mall and
no, I'm sure this
you
is
could
like,
be a model kid with looks like that.
I don't think it's like anything like that, right? Like so who knows how to heart we should take that, but the fact that people who saw other movies done by Zack Snyder didn't like them and came out liking this is probably a good sign generally.
Yeah.
Is he related to Rob Schneider at all?
No one's related to Rob Schneider.
Actually, what's that? There's a musician, Elle King. That's his daughter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's super weird too. So the Joker movie script is to be turned in next week.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm going to say on this is that I hope that this has been something in the works for longer than them just announcing it. Because if it's just from when they announced it to turning in the script, that feels a little Suicide Squad-y, where like the script was written in like 6 weeks or something insane like that. I can only assume this has been in the works for a bit longer than that, and it also turning in a script doesn't mean that immediately the movie goes into production either, right? But yeah, I mean, it definitely means they're pushing to move forward with it and likely pushing to do it quickly.
What is going to, it is going to be Jared Leto in this one too. So
is it?
That's what I've heard.
What?
I thought this was the one that would be like the Elseworlds, like Joker origin thing.
I don't know. I've read some different things online today, so maybe this is something different.
Because he's also just coming off of Blade Runner 2049, is he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, I'm assuming they've been making that movie forever.
He's a busy dude.
Well, I mean, when he's not being a dick to people on set, he's like, you could turn in some decent performances, but...
I can't imagine that they're all, like that they're announcing turning in a script for that separate movie already, because, I mean, they're just having the conversation about that thing's existence.
I could have sworn that's what this was for, because I thought where they were going with the Jared Leto Joker was that there was talk of working on a Joker and Harley movie, and that he'd also appear maybe in Gotham City Sirens, and then probably also in Suicide Squad 2. But I didn't think he was the one they were looking at, because I thought, yeah, this thing was going to be separate. I could be totally wrong.
I probably am. So,
so
don't take. Do you have any? Do you have any?
Usually are.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything that you like? Is there any story that you're hoping that this is like?
No, because the thing that bugs me about it, okay, what I hope it is like an expanded version of kind of what they did in The Dark Knight, which was that there isn't one origin. Like the Joker to me works best when he's not, I mean, I'm going to use the wrong word here, but when he's not human. And what I mean by that is not human in like the narrative sense, where you see where he came from, why he became who he is, blah, 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 blah. Even in The Killing Joke, which gives a definitive, quote unquote, Joker origin, they, in that book, go and say, well, sometimes I remember it differently. Like there's always a mystery. Like he's more of a force of nature than a person. So what I would hope in a Joker origin movie is either that we see multiple things, or that sort of Killing Joke kind of inversion where like maybe that's just how it's being told this time. Yeah, I mean, it makes me a little nervous to make anything too concrete. Or you have to go totally like Elseworlds.
Yeah.
Where you do something like Flashpoint, where it's like, in this world, Martha Wayne sees Bruce die and she snaps and becomes the Joker. Like, fine in that like alternate reality.
I would love to
works.
see that movie. You know that I would love to see that movie.
I know. Well, it's coming. Flashpoint's coming.
By the way, you're totally right. I was real wrong. I just looked it up. The Joker will be part of a new DC Comics movie from Warner Brothers, but won't be connected to the DC extended
Of course, he was
universe.
right. He's
Jared Leto is getting his own Joker movie with Margot Robbie.
Yeah, that's that Joker and Harley.
Yeah. Which is interesting that it's worded specifically that he'll get his own movie with Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
That sounds very
Because it's really she's getting her own movie and Jared's there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's interesting. But so this is that's why I think I was so confused, because I feel like they were just starting to talk about this movie and the script is already being done. Like, so I hope.
Well, but who knows how many scripts they're getting turned in? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, apparently it's Todd Phillips is expected to direct it, but he also. Which he wrote it with the 8 Mile writer, Scott Silver.
Sorry, did you say 8 Mile?
Yeah, that's right. You heard me.
So is there going to be like a battle rap at some point in there?
we can only hope.
By the way, if we all are coughing and sounding sick, that's because we are all coughing and sounding sick.
That's not true. I am not sick.
Yeah.
Get away from me,
Colin,
Richard.
oh, God.
Stop it.
Stop coughing on me, Colin.
Ugh,
All right, let's go.
that's an added point. Zach, okay, I'm confused by this.
I'm bouncing around a lot. Sorry, when I wrote this news, I kept finding out more stuff about Justice League, so we're going to keep going back and forth.
You're like an excited little kid.
Yeah. Ooh, now this one about Justice League.
Not 4 years old. Like more like 13.
Oh, no, this one.
Those are both awful. Zack Snyder says it'd be unfair to be involved in the Justice League film.
Well, yeah. What
Does he have a cameo?
No. What
He was the original director.
What he's
Oh,
and then he
okay.
stepped away because of personal tragedy, and Joss Whedon has come in to do the reshoots and the post production and bring the film home. And I guess look, Zack Snyder has recently released like a short film.
He's back to like start talking about his next film. And
Yeah, so people have been like asking, "Are you like now that you're clearly working on stuff again?"
now
are
they're
you gonna-"
clearly over your whole daughter thing.
Well, yeah, not quite asking it like that, but basically people have been asking if he would come back to Justice League, and he has said like that he doesn't think that would be fair. He stepped away at a point.
He winked. He was like, "That would be unfair."
No, I think he did. He stepped away. They turned it over to Joss Whedon to bring it home and finish it. It was still like within the context of Snyder's vision anyway. So I think he's just trying to get everyone to say like, it's like, I'm not coming back to it. Joss is finishing it. It's fine.
I don't know how much of his version of this movie is left, though. From what I'm hearing, is Joss is actually getting some writing credit on it now.
Well, they're giving him that because they can't give him a directing credit.
Yeah, but they also, if they give him a writing credit, that means he has to have rewritten about, I think it's like 70% of the script.
No.
It's something significant.
It's not quite like that, though. No, I mean, he wrote the reshoot scenes and things like that.
You have to write 70% of the reshoots.
But principal photography was done. Like, there's only so much you can actually do to change a film after principal photography. And Zack Snyder filmed all of that. So it's all in there. I mean, like, you can change things in editing and that, but that footage, like that film is still like 85% Snyder's.
It's in the can, as they say.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Thank you.
Imagine if though Richard was right and Joss Whedon just turned it into like a slapstick comedy.
I would hate that.
I would giggle forever.
I would hate that.
Because already Wonder Woman does that like Matrixy bullet dodge in the credit or in the trailer that we watched, which to me was fucking hilarious. You change up some music stuff in there. We got ourselves a good time.
You do the Benny Hill theme.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be a lot of like all of the Avengers sitting around in a circle talking about
It'd be called Benny Hill.
Random pop culture references.
I mean, like, let's be honest. Joss Whedon's stuff, they brought him in for a reason. His stuff will be a bit lighter, and they brought him in specifically to make what they called like connective tissue between some scenes. So it's probably some like character stuff, like
which is what he really does well. Is that my really like small character details.
But again, like ultimately, the overarching thing is still Snyder's because he filmed the movie. So I think ideally, in the perfect world, what you get out of that is a film that is as like visually and like cinematographically striking as a Zack Snyder film is, but maybe a little more palatable for an audience. You know, like as much as I like it, you just gotta face facts. Like a lot of people just don't like the way he makes movies.
Well, isn't that sad? The first trailer for Doomsday Clock emerges, and that is something else.
Yeah. So
wait, are we gonna watch this?
No, because it's not like
it's not really a
It's not really. Doomsday Clock isn't a movie or a TV show.
Yeah.
It's a comic that's coming out. It's the logical extension of what we've been going through with DC Rebirth. So it's all about
like
Watchmen is coming to the DC universe. Dr. Manhattan has been messing with reality.
But it explains how they got to that point and why they wanted to do it.
And it's Jeff Johns talking about like the inspiration for the story, but also basically I think he's also trying to reassure people that they're not just throwing in Watchmen characters for the sake of using a different property, that they actually feel like they're doing justice to the story and to the stuff that Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons had built in the original Watchmen series.
Crisis on Infinite Earths is coming to the CW.
Yeah, that's a little misleading. Crisis on Infinite Earths is not coming to the CW. Not yet. But just like in the comics, before Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were a number of Crisis on Earth things. And the big crossover, they do it every season. They cross over the different shows. So the big one this year that will cross over Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow is called Crisis on Earth X. And that should ring bells for you, Colin, because Earth X is...
Yeah, totally.
Do you remember?
No.
Earth X is the home of the Freedom Fighters and the Ray. And when we watched that trailer, we saw like the Nazi versions of the Flash and Supergirl and the Arrow.
So fans of news, I'm very sorry that I have to do this. I have to redact my statement. Crisis on Infinite Earths will not be coming to the CW, but in fact, Crisis on
Earth X.
That Earth X one is instead.
But if we go back to when we did our San Diego Comic-Con episode, I believe that I called that Freedom Fighters the Ray animated series would maybe precursor or lead into or connect to a live action version where those heroes have to fight the Nazi versions of themselves.
So would you then not be Dr. DC but Psychic?
Yes.
Yeah, Psychic.
We are getting an evil Supergirl.
Yeah.
So
we're getting evil. All of them. They put a promo image up that looks like a old like comic cover. And it looks like the Earth X version of the Flash is wearing like a reverse Flash costume. Like it's yellow, but it's got the SS instead of the lightning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then...
are they actually leaning into the whole Nazi thing?
Probably. That's what Earth X is.
Man.
Well, hell of a time to do it also, I think.
I can't imagine that they aren't thinking of that while working on this story at this particular...
juncture.
Like time in history. Yeah. That's got to be on the mind. Yeah, but so that's coming. So that's the big Arrowverse crossover this year.
Right on. So DC Comics is receiving an award for their depiction of LGBTQIA
characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, DC's done a pretty good job in the last few years of diversifying their line.
Is there any specific things you can think about?
Well, I mean, if we're going back to maybe about like 2006 or so, when they really started trying to be more diverse. The first one I can think of is Batwoman, who's a lesbian character.
I did not know that.
Yep. And she...
Batwoman. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, not Batgirl. Not Barbara Gordon, but Batwoman, Kate Kane. Definitely her. When the New 52 came around, Alan Scott, the Earth 2 Green Lantern, he was gay, but we've got some more diversity as well. There's the Black Wally West. There's a Black Power Girl on Prime Earth. There's
meanwhile, like Marvel's freaking out because they made Spider-Man black and they made Iceman gay.
Well, but I mean, like I don't read Marvel, so I can't really weigh in.
Dr.
on that
DC
side.
has no opinion on this matter at this time due to legalities in our show.
Yeah, exactly right.
These are not opinions of Dr. DC. Please.
I don't really read Marvel, so I can't really weigh in on it. But it does seem like Marvel has maybe been moving to diversify their line in a way that's possibly too like corporately transparent.
Oh, you mean like some gigantic
like just
mouse-eared company bought them?
But I mean, like just they're doing it and they should do it, but maybe not giving enough background to these new characters. They're just saying like, and this is the new so-and-so.
And he's totally gay.
And I think
Moving along.
DC has done a good job, though, of actually like setting up and building up characters of different backgrounds and sexualities and races. Like a bunch in the Bat family alone have been set up like years ago. It's taken them years to get to where they are now, including Duke Thomas, the Signal, who we've talked about. He's like the daytime Batman. There's, again, I don't read Marvel, but I get the feeling that part of the reason that DC is finding some success is that they have been putting the time into developing characters with interesting backgrounds, whose stories are like relevant not only in the context of diversity, but also in the wider context of like the DC universe. So.
Should have brought you a glass of water. I apologize.
That's all good.
Maybe some like lemon tea. A little drop of honey in there.
Okay, now you're just being sweet, and I wish that I had done that.
What, you being sweet by just talking about it?
Well, it's something
I'm sweet talking it.
Yeah.
Oh, bad joke.
You don't ever have to do anything. You just sweet talk it.
That's right, girl.
Oh, all of a sudden I don't like any of it.
Hey, did the light just get dimmed in here a little bit?
We do have mood lighting right now.
Oh my god!
Ow, ow, ow. Oh, that's not sexy at all.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no, I ruined it. Oh, I'll just go back to the news. DC's new milestone line to be unveiled at New York Comic-Con.
I'm impressed you knew that.
Go fuck yourself.
I actually have no idea what this means, but I figured you would have some understanding.
Yeah, Milestone Comics was the thing that came out. I mean, like it was decades ago, but it was specifically like basically like a black line of superhero comics. It was meant to serve an audience that was underserved, and it included heroes like Static Shock.
I love Static Shock.
And like Icon.
No, not when you're walking on socks and carpet. That's not what I was talking about.
Oh.
And like Icon and Rocket and heroes like that. And these are characters that were for a while folded into the main DC continuity. You like Icon and Static Shock definitely were part of the main continuity. Icon and Rocket and Static Shock all show up in season 2 and season 1 of Young Justice. But basically, DC is revamping the Milestone line, so it takes place on Earth M, and that line is getting, it's getting its own sort of like publishing imprint again. So they're going to show off like the first, what the lineup is, the probably like the first issue covers of different things. But yeah, so they're getting their own books again.
What?
Is LeBron James going to be in that? Because I think he's a superhero right now.
Oh.
DC execs,
You're always listening.
hit us up. LeBron, yes. Hashtag LeBron.
We really need to find better hashtags.
The reason I say that.
What's wrong with my hashtag?
He's my hashtag he's my king or hashtag not my king.
King,
really?
Yes.
I just feel like everything is yes.
Oh, sorry, you were making that up. I thought that was like actually what was happening.
No. I just realized that every hashtag we do is something yes, and I just feel like
I just like to be consistent.
Yeah, I just feel like we're ripping off Kevin Smith.
What, is that what he does?
That was so he would make the Tusk movie. It was.
Have we been ripping him off this whole time? I just thought we came up with something.
Oh no!
No,
I think maybe I was the first one who did it, but in that I was initially doing it, but I didn't think we could do it every time.
Oh no! I'm sorry, Kevin Smith. If you accept my apology, hashtag apology yes. If you don't, hashtag apology no.
If you don't, apology. Fuck you, Dr. DC.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
You're Canadian, then apology, sorry.
The reason I say that is like it's kind of cool to see him standing up for not just other athletes in different sports that are kind of going on right now, but kind of like everyone. In
Your own little social justice warrior, aren't you, Colin?
Yeah,
I'm
gonna be in the JLA one day.
I like it. Did you just say you'll be in the JLA?
Oh,
Colin, I love you.
I can literally say anything I fucking want if right afterwards I say some stupid geeky shit that makes you guys cream your jeans.
Oh my god, Reed's so hard right now. I know that because my hand's on him.
I gotta pee.
We're just straight up using my name.
I do have a question. Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Pretty much. Is there an actual milestone line? Like, is there a specific character that you're excited to start?
I'll be perfectly honest. Like, I didn't like read super deeply like the milestone characters.
Because you're racist? Is that what?
No, but the one that I have the most exposure to that I enjoy the most,
Static Shock,
is Static Shock.
Yeah.
I mean, which is maybe the obvious answer, but I really like Static. So I
like the actual force of like electricity.
I love that. I love electricity, man. Just like in real life. And when I heard they were making a book about it.
That makes so much more sense now that why you're just sitting in front of the TV the other day just watching like the static.
I'm constantly wearing wool socks and not picking my feet up.
All the like static that I take out of these episodes, he just wants me to send them separately.
Yeah,
as just individual files. I thought it was weird. I guess that makes sense.
Helps me sleep at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Static Shock, but
hey Doc.
Well, on that note.
Yeah, so the test screenings of the Justice League show no signs of your lookalike Lex Luthor.
I thought that was weird. That he like.
Well, not only do they show no signs of Lex Luthor, they also show no signs of Iris West, who also filmed scenes. So,
but like not as big of a character. I mean, that's like DC's I think their biggest villain.
Yeah, I mean, like he and the Joker and Darkseid are probably but I think what it shows is that in this post-production process, there's some streamlining happening,
which I have no problem with because
I don't particularly I don't particularly mind.
That was a fake cough. I know I've been coughing for real this whole time.
It's weird that you picked Suicide Squad though, because if anything, they should have done the opposite of streamlining and like gave people a bit more.
I just like shitting on Suicide Squad.
I know you do. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, no Lex Luthor. The only real part he could play in the Justice League would basically just be an extended version of what we saw at the end of Batman versus Superman, because he had sort of made contact or had learned about the New Gods, at least from accessing the information in the scout ship.
I just would have loved to see like a subplot where he tries to like partner up with them, and then he thinks that like he's getting access to this power. You know, the old and then at the end he finds out that they don't care about him and they're just going to kill him after they got what they wanted.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that subplot.
Yeah, and I would too, but I mean,
just desserts.
Yeah, I mean, this movie already has so much on its plate, like basically
it's probably for the best,
and setting up other characters. So yeah, Lex and Iris won't be appearing in Justice League, it looks like, and that's probably for the best.
I'd probably imagine so.
Who knows if they do like the extended, like Lord of the Rings cut of the movie for Blu-ray, you may get to see it later, but
as they all fly away on some bird.
Yeah. The Eagles.
Yeah.
And every geek's imaginary girlfriend, Harley Quinn, is turning 25.
I think that's crazy that, like, one, this is a character that was just created on Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
And it's now become one of their most successful characters.
Yeah.
You can thank Margot Robbie for that.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
right to the bank.
No, I mean, Margot Robbie came in at the end of that. Like, Harley's success is directly because of how people took to Arlene Sorkin's portrayal of her on the animated series. She was basically meant to be like a one-off in one episode, but the reaction was so positive they kept bringing her back. And eventually she worked her way over into not just comic book form, because there were comics kind of the animated series universe, but then eventually into like the main continuity. Like she became part of the proper DC universe. And when we went into the New 52, they finally basically removed her from the Joker and put her on the Suicide Squad. And she's had a lot of opportunity since, you know, with books like that or Gotham City Sirens and her own solo book. There's a lot more to Harley now than just being the Joker's like lover / sidekick. So, it's kind of crazy though. Like you said, that it's been 25 years already.
Makes me feel real old.
Well, I know. Yeah. Cause like that's totally.
Yeah. Cause you guys are both what, 12? Because I'm 10. You guys are definitely older than I am.
Shut up! I told you to stop saying that. People think we're old.
Quiet, Mom's gonna hear us.
You shut up!
Guys.
Anyways. Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, so
it's a great thing we got that voice deepening software on our computer.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah, we've got like the bat cowl thing. Yeah. Do you bleed? Yeah. You will. But yeah, so that's the Christian Bale one. Yeah, we got to upgrade you. But yeah, so Harley's 25. So
You gonna upgrade him to what? The Ben Affleck one?
yeah.
And this week's theme is Fanstravaganza.
Oh my god, Reed's getting so hard.
Yeah, I mean, like we've tried to streamline our episodes, give them a bit of a theme so that we can kind of direct, questions and also, when you just say to someone like, "Do you have a question about like this giant thing that's been around for 80 years?" Then that's a
Either
lot
they
harder.
have nothing to say, or their nerd brains explode because they're just like, yeah, everything.
Well, it's a lot harder than just when a little bit of direction, but.
Because of that, some stuff has gotten left on the cutting room floor.
Exactly. We've had some stuff like left behind or questions that we get in between asking for questions or things like that. So we wanted to take the opportunity to kind of catch up. So this will be a bit of a mixed bag episode. We'll cover a bunch of different things, but hopefully we'll catch up on those questions that we haven't gotten to yet.
Fanstravaganza!
Yep, that was it.
Gross. So on Twitter, Grant Richter said, I think I remember when John Byrne rebooted Superman post-Crisis that his flight ability was now a subconscious form of telekinesis. I also know that post-Crisis Superboy's powers were telekinesis-based. So is Superman's strength, invulnerability, heat visions, etc. all subconsciously psionic in nature, or do they have other explanations?
Right. So there's a few different things in there. Yeah.
The end.
So first things first. Colin, do you remember how Superman gets his powers?
Yeah, his dad was like a dick, and they just like sent him off to be adopted by humans. And so he's got like some serious.
So wait. So getting
adopted is how he has powers?
Well, yeah, he's got some dad issues, so it's all in spite.
Okay.
So
So
God, I've got so many powers.
No one said anything about weird uncles.
No, stop. You just did. Don't do it.
Clinical depression's a power, right, guys?
Oh. Okay, let's hug.
So Superman,
Oh my God, yeah.
Colin, you're only a little bit right. Superman was sent away because his planet was exploding.
Right, yeah.
But he's sent to Earth.
That's what his dad said.
And it's...
Yeah, your planet's exploding, so
you totally go, we'll stay here.
yeah, no, we're what the fuck are we doing? We're sacrificing ourselves.
We'll totally
don't-
catch up with you later in spirit.
don't bother coming back. There'll be nothing here.
So just go in this go in this spaceship and we're just.
Ooh, it's a spaceship.
It's a space. Oh, here we go. Oh, you're flying.
Wait, so you're saying they didn't even send him to Earth? They just shook like a box or something? Oh, God.
Left.
He's got a severe psychosis issue and he thinks he's on Earth.
I mean, that sounds like an Elseworlds book. I think you could pitch that. At any rate,
Pitch it. Write it.
on the prime Earth, where that isn't the case, Superman lands on Earth, and it's Earth's yellow sun, the radiation from the yellow sun that gives Superman his powers.
Not the black hole sun.
Now, Superman's powers are a little bit wacky because
Won't you come?
No.
I was just trying to power through
I
the
know,
bad
it's okay.
joke.
You know it
I was
never
trying
works.
so hard.
I almost bit too, and then I decided not to.
That's what I'm here for.
His powers get a bit wacky, though, because every time a writer wants him to do something incredible or more super than he's ever done before, he just does it. And you're like, does the yellow sun do all of that? And part of
vitamin D, dude.
Why doesn't he always just like disintegrate everybody from like one grab or one punch? Because I feel like he totally could do that.
well, I mean, because he's often pulling his punches, but that's a good point. And I can kind of address it actually while answering this question. So post-Crisis, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, that is, this writer John Byrne basically implied that Superman's powers were like a latent form of telekinesis. So instead of his skin actually being invulnerable, he had some form of telekinesis that would like deflect bullets and, bend knives and things like that. And that's also how he would fly. He's like just like manipulating himself in space.
Is he Neo?
Well, this is the thing. It's hard to tell whether or not they still think that's kind of the thing. And part of the reason that it gets confusing is that Superboy, Kon-El, which Grant mentions in this, the clone of Superman, his powers are specifically telekinesis.
Oh.
like all of his powers, they call it tactile telekinesis, which seems a little redundant to me. But at any rate, Superboy's powers are specifically that. Superman's, sometimes they allude to it, sometimes they don't. There are definitely...
Depending on the writer and whether they want to reference it or not.
Pretty much, yeah. But basically, there are powers of Superman's that have nothing to do with that in any context. The best example I can give is his heat vision. So... and
Jack.
His heat vision is actually... Sorry, what?
Nothing.
His heat vision?
And Jack?
I just don't get it.
You've never seen Heat Vision and Jack?
Is this a thing?
It's a TV show pilot that Jack Black made with, I can't remember who it was, but it's really good.
Yeah, that totally went over
Dan
my
Harmon
head.
made it.
I missed all of that.
It's notoriously one of the most expensive pilots ever made.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that. At any rate, Superman's heat vision
and Jack
is basically a release of the solar energy in his cells. And we know that because in the New 52, he discovered a power called the super flare.
If you know what I mean.
And in the super flare, he basically loses control of his heat vision and he expels all of the solar radiation in his body at once as like a nuclear explosion. And after he does that and this sort of explosion of radiation happens, he's basically completely human for like the next 24 hours while he recharges. So, that super flare, because it's tied to his heat vision, I think proves that the heat vision, I think it proves that at least that power is not telekinetic in any way.
Okay.
It's specifically about the radiation going in and coming out of his cells. Maybe if you're, because we're talking about superheroes and the science is shaky anyway, maybe if you're a writer, you can make the argument that he's telekinetically absorbing or releasing the power from those cells. I suppose you could do that. And so maybe by doing that, I haven't answered this question anymore. But I don't think Superman's powers, or at least not all of them, come from a latent form of telekinesis. And I prefer it in general when none of them do.
So we're going to keep with Twitter. Paul Vanier says, "Hey, Dr. DC, does Superman need to eat and breathe? He has spent many times doing neither. So what's the deal with this?"
Yeah, I mean, this is another tough question. And again, it's one of those things where when you're looking at different eras of comic books, you get vastly different answers. Through the Silver Age in the 60s, you would see Superman just flying through space and just talking, speaking to people, which, A, there's no air, B, there's no sound. So it's kind of difficult to imagine that Superman can talk in space. But in more recent versions, I think you see basically a type of Superman's powers where he can survive in space, but he still has to breathe. He's basically holding his breath. Now, because he's Superman, he can hold a bunch of breath and for a really long time.
So he's like a Buddhist monk.
Lucky Lois.
Oh.
Well, those two things are very different.
So, I think he could do that, but I think the idea is that he does still have to breathe. As for eating, I think there's enough evidence to support the idea that Superman doesn't actually need to eat. But I think because...
boy, does he do it well.
I mean, he does eat, and he can eat, but I don't think he needs to, because I think his ability to absorb that solar radiation is actually enough. Because it doesn't just sustain him, it makes him as strong as he is. So I think you could make the argument that eating is something he can go without. But breathing, he has to do.
He's a houseplant.
Superman?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm making the argument that he photosynthesizes.
Yep.
Yeah. He's the ficus.
Hey, what's up, Soups?
Swamp Thing.
My wife actually has a point of contention because you called it a ficus. It's actually a money tree.
What's the ficus difference?
What about it is a money tree?
That's the type of tree.
Oh, it's actually called a money tree?
Yeah.
As in money doesn't grow on trees?
Yeah.
Oh.
But this is a money tree.
You know what? I'm committed to calling it the ficus. I don't think I could change now.
She'll kill you in your sleep. It's fine.
Oh, what is she doing in my house?
She's a ninja.
Fair enough. But hopefully that answers the question. Short version, Superman does, I believe, need to breathe. I do not believe he needs to eat.
At least not food.
Yeah, we get it.
I can explain it.
Yeah, no,
we're good.
I totally don't understand what's going on.
That's for the actual like Dr. DC late
After
night.
dark.
Yeah, after dark. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it is after. Okay, never mind.
Dr. DC.
So we're heading over to Facebook, where
To Facebook, going to the book. That's a faces and books.
that sounds a lot creepier than it should.
It's not the second worst. It's the worst. No, it's
So over on Facebook, Brenda asks, did Screet just exist with Hawkman in the old school cartoons, or did he feature regularly in all Hawkman comics?
so
Screet or secrete?
no, it's Skreel.
Skreel?
Oh, So he said Screet.
Oh, I should
Yeah, I know.
drink fewer of these.
Screet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll Screet.
Highly caffeinated, high sugar beverages.
Man, Screet.
So Skreel, this is a super like deep cut reference. There are these cartoons from, I guess, the 50s or 60s in the same style as that old Spider-Man cartoon where they just like reuse animation like in the background.
Flintstone style?
Yeah, that kind of thing. And they were like little short things of different heroes, and they would do like the Atom and the Flash and Superman and Justice League, but Hawkman had one as well. And Hawkman in these cartoons had like a literal like hawk sidekick named Skreel, and he would be like, "Skreel, get him!" And this thing would go exactly.
That sounds exactly like the Flintstones.
See, don't do that. I'll do it. Don't worry.
He would do that, and then like he'd be like, "Make sure he doesn't go anywhere." And this hawk would like land on the guy's head, and the guy would be like, "Ah!" Yeah.
Wait, which entity did that thing?
The Skreel.
Oh,
Skreel,
the
yeah.
Skreel, not the guy who got Skreeled.
No. The guy who got Skreel would
Shit
just be
got
like,
Skreel?
"Drat, dang you, Hawkman."
I didn't realize it was a Scooby-Doo episode.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that damn Skreel.
Yeah, pretty much. But basically, as far as I can tell, that character is not from the comics. I think that's just a product of those old school cartoons. So if you want to see Skreel, you got to find those old Hawkman cartoons. They're hilarious. I'm sure they're on YouTube.
Okay, now I need to make a t-shirt that's like just a photo of like a bird that says keeping it Skreel.
Oh my God. Can we start merch?
If you guys want us to make t-shirts like that,
Hashtag Skreel, yes.
don't fucking stop.
I'm sorry. I'm a creature of habit.
Do hashtag keeping it Skreel. Yeah.
Yes, or hashtag
God
keeping
damn
it
it.
Skreel, no.
Skreely-illy-illy-o.
You fucking make up your own hashtags. None of it matters. Our stupid podcast.
Everyone always makes up their own stupid hashtags anyways. Paul Vanier, again with the questions. DC definitely does not give the Legion of Superheroes the respect and attention they deserve. They are better than just existing in a pocket universe. I have two questions. The first is, why are there no adults in the Legion? Surely after all these years, we would see Ultraman, Saturn Woman, and Matter Eater Man. Man, none of that sounds good. Sorry, Paul. The second is, how many members of the Legion of Substitute Heroes eventually made the jump to the Legion of Superheroes?
The Legion of Substitute
What the
Heroes
fuck?
sounds like
That's like the farm team.
It literally is, and I will get to it.
Ugh.
So
it sounds like some substitute teacher was just like, we're gonna make a substitute heroes because we're cool too,
That's-
guys.
basically it.
Good answer.
So the Legion,
nailed it, Richard.
the Legion of Superheroes.
Sidekick Dick doing his thing, answering questions super quick.
That's a song.
Ass piss.
So do you remember what the Legion is at all? We have talked about them before.
Do you remember?
No, I'm not.
21st.
No Earth, Wind, and Fire. Do you remember?
Oh, I was going Phil Collins, but that's cool too.
Oh.
Anyways,
I can feel it.
yeah, shut the fuck up. You do your thing.
Well, no, I was asking you. Do you remember what the Legion of Superheroes is?
Not really.
So the Legion is the 30th century version of the Justice League. They have members from different planets in like the United Planets. So they're like basically like an intergalactic version of the Justice League.
Intergalactic.
Planetary.
Planetary, intergalactic. We have to stop now or we have to pay royalties.
That's true.
So yeah, the Legion of Superheroes includes, Saturn Girl, who has like psychic powers, and Cosmic Boy, who basically has like magnet powers, like Magneto.
What about Uranus Man?
Yeah, what's up with Uranus, man?
That sounds like a substitute hero. But so then the Legion of Substitute Heroes were people who had like tried out for the Legion and couldn't make it. Like their powers weren't deemed good enough or they weren't deemed competent enough.
And if they're not good enough for that, they just teach substitute gym.
The Legion of Substitute Gym Heroes, Gym Class Heroes.
I think we figured out their origin.
We did it. So the Legion of Superheroes, to answer the first part of the question, they all have like names like something boy or something lass or whatever. And Paul is asking why they don't change their names as they age. And the short answer is that in comics, people don't ever really age too much.
Unless they just dramatically age it.
Yeah, unless it's like a story thing where you're seeing them old or they get like aged by a time traveler or something like that, right?
Or you're watching Gotham.
Or you're watching Gotham where they do that to Poison Ivy. Hey, Colin, amazing.
Whoa.
Amazing. I mean that's kind of like a chintzy answer, but yeah, there's a reason that they don't particularly change their names. But they do like age and grow up, even if they still go by like Lightning Lad or whatever. Like some of them get married, some of them have kids. Like if you read Legion comics, like there is like a progression for them. They're not just stuck in one era forever.
Their costumes just stay the same size.
Yeah, that's right. They never have to like,
fuck.
They never need a new costume.
Well, they do, but they don't get them.
Right, yeah. The Legion of Substitute Heroes, Paul's asking how many of those actually got called up to the big league. And actually,
taking their turn at bat.
There's a decent number. Polar Boy, who has like cold, like ice powers. Dream Girl, who has some like prophetic dreams.
Oh, that sounds like the opposite of what it is.
Stone Boy. That's stone with no D.
That's too easy. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch that D.
Not going to touch that D?
No, I'm not
too small?
Too easy.
Too subtle?
Yeah, so Stone Boy. I think there's probably about maybe 5 or 6.
Oh man, I'm Stone Boy.
What's up, guys?
I'm going to listen to some Fish before I save this city.
Put on some 311.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, these are some. This is some righteous
royalties.
superhero.
Oh yeah, sorry. The royalties. Hashtag royalties, no.
God damn it.
So I would say there's probably about half a dozen or maybe a few more substitute heroes who did eventually make it into the Legion. There's a 5-year gap at one point in the comics. And when you come into the Legion story, you see that a bunch of the substitute heroes have become part of the Legion since that time. So actually, like that farm team, they start as kind of a joke, but they
just
kind
a ragtag group of kids trying their best.
They are, and they kind of earn their stripes, and they earn the respect of the Legion, and eventually many of them become Legion members.
They become referees?
When did I say that?
You said they earn their stripes.
For God's sakes. Stop mixing metaphors.
This shit's on you.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're going to Instagram, which is, I think, my personal favorite.
We've never got a question from Instagram, have we?
No, I don't think we have.
Because it's the first time I've ever had to get that icon.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
I do a lot of work.
I can totally tell that's his Instagram.
Thanks.
It's, man, did they not show their real names on there? Because this one's K-Cross 202.
Yep.
Okay, can I ask, what is your favorite DC video game? So, can I just...
You bowing out at this one?
Can I just say that's a bad... that's just
That's a great question.
That's a lazy question.
How is that a lazy question?
Because I'm unimpressed with
So this is a really good question.
This actually is a great question, and one I'm actually excited to answer.
Well, you know what? I talk a lot on this. Why don't you answer first? Because you are excited about this. So Richard, what is your favorite DC video game?
So if we're talking specifically DC, it's got to be. Would you shut up?
Oh, not so fun, eh?
I don't fart into the microphone.
Jack.
I probably do. So I throughout the years, there's been a lot of really good ones, especially when you start talking about platformer games and like Nintendo 64, things like that. But I think like it's gotten so good in the last few years when you start talking about the Batman series, the Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, Arkham City.
Yeah.
These are fantastic games. I think Arkham Asylum, the first one, was actually the most perfect one. I think they had to expand it just to give people more content and want them to keep coming back as they kind of made newer video games. But the first one was so perfect. It was this compact story where you were stuck specifically in the Arkham Asylum. Joker had taken over, and you basically, and as you played the game, it affected the landscape of Arkham Asylum. So at some points, like Poison Ivy would start taking over, and so everything would be covered in vines. It was unbelievable, and we'd never gotten to play Batman like that before.
And
where you
great character designs, like they kind of
beautiful.
Yeah.
It felt like what the newer DC universe really was as well. It was really in line with that art style. So for me, I think it's got Batman Arkham Asylum is definitely my favorite. I did love one of the critically kind of hated the Superman 1999 video game.
Oh shit!
I actually really liked.
Wow!
I actually really liked that game. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, interesting.
I know that it's not super popular, but I had.
I never would have thought of that one. Yeah.
No, it was really good. I think the Lego series is also really good and deserves. But I think you played one like Lego game. You kind of played them all. So I don't think it's just deserving to be put at the very, very top. Though it is definitely like worth trying out. And
yeah, totally.
One I definitely loved a lot. But I mean, for me, I think it always goes back to the Batman Arkham series.
Yeah. Oh, no, I mean, like, and that's I have.
You're not a big gamer.
I'm not a huge gamer. I have kind of a 3-part answer to it. I loved actually Arkham City because it took the things I liked about Arkham Asylum in terms of the mechanics, like how the fighting worked in the game. Where you really do feel like Batman. You could take on like 20 guys at the same time, right? And you use your gadgets and stuff like that. But then also made it like open world. And I felt like Arkham Knight, like the story side of it faltered and it maybe became a little too repetitive, like some of the missions and that. I really liked Arkham City though. That being said, I'm a huge fan of Injustice.
I haven't played it yet.
For something that is essentially just like a Mortal Kombat style fighting game, they have developed such great mechanics. You can use the environment, like you can pull something out of the room and throw it at the other person. The moves are really tailored to the different characters. Between Injustice and Injustice 2, there's like so many different characters, and they keep releasing new ones, like Black Lightning's in there. You can play as Starfire. You can play as Blue Beetle. You can play as Dr. Fate. You can play as Martian Manhunter.
Is Gnort in there?
Oh, I wish. There are Green Lanterns in there. Do you know what? DC,
that wasn't the question.
DC, make a premier skin of Gnort.
But say please. Use your manners.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Please.
Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you're exempt from manners. Your bedside manner is atrocious.
My bedside manners are terrible, yeah. So I really love Injustice, but then also I feel like those games, even though essentially the game is just that back and forth sort of fighting style, between the mechanics being interesting, and the animation being good, they also had like a great story. It's about a world where the Joker manages to basically like, he affects how Superman sees things, and Superman thinks that Lois is Doomsday and kills her, and she was pregnant with his child. And Superman goes insane at like the guilt of what he's done and kills the Joker. And it basically creates a rift in the Justice League where Batman can't forgive him for killing at all. And Superman takes over the world as a dictator to try and prevent all crime ever. But it corrupts him. He kills people. In the course of that first Injustice game, he heat visions through Shazam's head when Shazam starts to dissent, like starts to have an actual conscience about like what they're doing. Superman kills him. And that's super dark because Shazam is, remember, a child in an adult's body, but still a child. So I kind of like the idea that the story of Injustice goes so deep, and I think that's probably mostly why I like that one so much.
I would also love to give special recognition to the Atari 2600 1979 Superman game.
I don't even know that one. Yeah,
I had to look at what year it was out.
Is this a game you had?
It's a game I've played.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was actually at an arcade that I used to go to when I was a kid. It was really cool because, I mean, it basically paved the way for a lot of superhero games, including Spider-Man, which is actually really popular for Atari. But you actually had some, like, flying mechanics. You could actually become Clark Kent, so you could return to the Daily Planet.
Oh, shit.
You had X-ray vision. Like, it was actually, like, considering...
Oh, that's pretty cool,
For 1979, there was actually some really great technology that they used in that.
Yeah.
So, honorable mentions.
Yeah. I actually really like that first Lego Batman game. Like, I mean, obviously the later ones,
fun, yeah.
You could play as more characters and that's always fun. But that first Lego Batman game is just so, it's just so like weird.
Delightful.
Yeah, it's delightful. That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah. Colin, have you ever played a superhero video game? Do you have an answer to this?
Do you have a video game console of any type?
Okay, so when I was growing up, my dad bought me like the first Nintendo. It was like the craziest thing I ever received. But I only ever played like Blades of Steel or like Duck Hunt on that. And
Blades
then
of Steel is awesome.
Yeah, it's the greatest. That was the first fist fighting game I ever was allowed to play, aside from punch my brother in the head.
It's a great game. One I've played for many years.
He and I got really good.
Punch Colin's brother in the head.
Yeah, fuck that kid.
We got really good at doing that with one another. We were like rock'em sock'em robots.
Just playing so much.
We're just like plugging all these arcade and old geeky things from our childhoods. But no, I think my brother had like a PlayStation at one point. Like I was never really big into video games.
Yeah.
He had like a Spider-Man game or whatever, and I just kind of got bored immediately because it was just like whatever.
The early 2000 Spider-Man game was actually pretty good too.
Actually, I'll give a little bit of a shout out to, it's not a perfect game by any stretch, but I have enjoyed playing DC Universe Online, which is
you know what? That was actually a great game.
It's the MMORPG of the DC Universe.
The DFU?
The DFU, that's right. And actually, you know what? That one's pretty fun. They ended up expanding it to a lot of different power sets. You could basically be a lantern in it, which is kind of neat. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That actually was in later years very well regarded. I think.
Yeah, and they kind of incorporate like a bunch of like major storylines. Like I know they've done Blackest Night, and I know they've like, and you fight these crazy villains like Gorilla Grodd and stuff like that, and you go to these like weird locations like Oolong Island and things like that. Like it's kind of it's a fun game. It doesn't have like perfect mechanics or anything, but it's fun to play and relatively accessible, which I appreciate as someone that isn't like a super hardcore gamer. I like that I can jump in and play and enjoy myself without having to like dedicate my life to it.
That actually reminds me of, I can't do a proper review of it yet because we've just started playing it, but the Batman Telltale series, we actually just started playing this weekend. And it's great. It's a lot of fun. I love the Telltale series. I mean,
the Walking Dead ones were awesome.
KCross202, thank you for your question. If you guys want to ask us questions on Instagram,
do it. Just
make sure to like maybe send us like a DM or put it on like a picture of a comic book that you see that jumps out at you. KCross202, thank you for your question.
Yes, thank you. That was a great question.
We got an email.
Oh, do we?
Oh, we got an email.
Oh yeah,
we got two actually. One's from Dave,
just Dave,
and one's from Bruce.
James. All right, let's do it.
LeBron's brother. Dave says, as my wife and I watched Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, ... wink, wink. No, he didn't do any of that.
No.
Feature last night, it dawned on me that her level of defensive strength seems to jump around from toughness to invulnerability to imperviousness and back again. Has it ever been addressed? In that movie, we see her get cut, but it heals demigod quick. She needs the bracelets to deflect bullets, yet she can get punched through a tank or have a church tower collapse on her with no damage. So my question is, how invulnerable to damage is Wonder Woman?
This is a terrific question. And
I agree. This is a terrific question. Thanks, Dave. Good one.
So actually, I think the answer to this question will sort of address how this question relates to comics as well, because this is the thing that often comes up. And again, it just depends on the writer, right? Like sometimes a writer wants to show a certain character as like untouchable, and sometimes they want to show them as a little bit vulnerable. So like the powers, especially defensive powers, like how impervious or how invulnerable you are, often like really change from story to story. So you're right. In Wonder Woman, in that movie, she gets cut with a blade and other Amazons get shot with bullets. But then Wonder Woman does have a church fall on her and can like run into a tank and she's fine. So in general, if you're reading comic books and the character is like not Superman, where like almost nothing can hurt them, if the idea is that they can be hurt, but they are super strong and things, this is the rule of thumb. If the impact is kind of blunt force, they can take it. If the impact is like sharp or pinpoint, so like a blade or a bullet or a needle or things like that, then it can affect them. Obviously, you're going to read stories where there's variations on this. There's a great like Aquaman story in the early New 52 where he's stopping like a crime and the guys are shooting at him and the bullets are bouncing off his armor and then one hits him in the head and it goes like ting and he's bleeding and then he gives this like you fucked up kind of look to the criminal. So he gets shot in the head and it bounces off of him. But Aquaman is also like Black Manta has like cut his arm off multiple times.
I didn't think that he was specifically like impervious.
He's not totally impervious. He's not totally invulnerable. But what they're implying is that, you know, the angle of that bullet's a little off. It hits him. He's fine. But you know, Aquaman's been stabbed. He's been like
because I thought his whole power was like the underwater thing, not specifically like being bulletproof.
Part of that though is that like living underwater at those pressures has made him like tougher than us and stronger than us. But yes, you're right.
Being Jason Momoa has made him tougher and stronger than all of us.
It's all those mimosa samosas.
Yeah. Ugh. Praise be. So the same thing is true in this Wonder Woman movie. And yeah, in general, if you're looking at a character who has some level of super strength or durability, that's the rule of thumb. Blunt force trauma, they can take, or it like won't injure them. And then things that are, you know, like I guess you'd call it like high PSI, like, you know, like a sharp blade or a bullet or something like that. Or, you know, if that church fell, if you're reimagining the movie, let's say you're writing and that church falls on her, it's not the church falling on her that could hurt her, but if there's like a piece of rebar that, you know, comes down on her, you could imagine that would actually like pierce a leg or something like that. But because it's just like this sort of blunt mass of rubble, she's okay.
Yeah, it's just a church.
So if you're
What's
like
a church ever done?
So if you're like trying to define specifically the durability, that becomes difficult. But that's, I would say, like the rule of thumb in general across comic book movies and comic books. And even when people don't have powers, like if you watch things like Daredevil, like the Netflix series, like his powers have nothing to do with his durability. But again, like he gets blunt force trauma pretty hard.
Did you just turn that into a verb?
I did. And he comes out okay, but then he also gets like speared and stabbed and things like that, and those things affect him much more. So I think it's a good superhero rule in general, that's kind of how durability works in comics.
That's a great answer to a wonderful question about a wonderful woman.
That was nice.
Yeah, thanks. Bruce
Thanks,
James.
Dave.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you, Dave. Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here, man.
Stoned boy, though.
Thank you, K-Cross202.
Bruce James also sent in an email. Rick's older brother. He wants to know... Well, it's kind of a two-part. He says, love the show. Wanted to ask a question. How does the H-dial transform people into heroes or villains or sidekicks? Is it nanotech or magic or something else?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about this.
I have no idea what an H-dial is.
The H-dial comes from this series that was called Dial H for Hero.
Kind of like the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
no,
so cool.
Shut the fuck up.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So the H dial
Yeah, we're
comes
fine.
the H dial comes from this series called Dial H for Hero, and basically the main character, Robbie Reed, he if he dialed hero, it would turn him into a random superhero with random, like not one that exists, just a random new superhero with new superpowers for like an hour or something
I
like
feel like
that.
we have talked about that. That does sound familiar.
But like,
It's like superhero Tinder.
kind of.
You get it for about an hour.
But basically,
Superhero Viagra.
basically, like these are like random heroes, completely random.
Yeah, we have
powers.
talked about this before because I made the Viagra joke last time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a superhero for longer than an hour, make sure to call your physician.
Oh yeah. So we, one of them, for example, the H dials turn someone into a hero called Captain Lachrymose, who, like inspired by like Lacrimosa by like Mozart. So basically, he just makes people sad and then feeds on their sadness. There's one called like Cock-a-Hoop that's just like a rooster head on a giant spinning disc.
Oh my God, that sounds awesome.
That
It's
sounds terrifying.
Basically, what it was originally was a way for like readers to write in and be like, "This would be a fun superhero," and then you wouldn't have to write a whole series about it. You just like write it into one issue.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then
Sorry, what was the last one called?
Cock-a-Hoop.
Yeah, no, that could have gone way weirder.
It could have, but not when they started writing these comics. That wouldn't have gotten past the censor.
I also really love the fact that Sidekick Dick remembers everything on whether or not he made a sexual joke.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So at any rate, that's what the H dial is. And then the question is whether or not it transforms people via science or magic. And the short answer is that it's magic.
Oh, it's magic.
Yeah.
You know.
It's totally not science.
The reason that we know this is that there's a different hero that gets multiple different superpowers each time. And that one is based in science. That superhero is the Resurrection Man. The Resurrection Man, every time he's killed, he comes back with a power related to how he died. That he gets his powers from these things called tektites, which are tiny like robots that basically like reconstruct and resurrect his body and infuse him with a power. So if he gets electrocuted when he resurrects, he comes back with electricity powers, or if he gets drowned, he comes back with water powers, or like whatever. That one is explicitly science. The Resurrection Man has had like a few series. It's interesting to read, but the H dial doesn't work that way. Anyone can use the H dial. It's not something in their body. Like the tektites are in, what's his name? Mitch something.
Are you saying that the files are inside the computer?
Yeah. The files are in the computer. Yeah. But the H dial, anyone can use it. So it's not something in their bodies, and it's not shooting like nanites or anything into them. It's actually magic. And the other proof for that is that on one occasion, and one occasion only, the H dial turned someone into an existing superhero. Someone got turned into Plastic Man. And it's unclear if at that time they actually took over Plastic Man's body, or if he disappeared from existence and then they became Plastic Man for a bit and then he re-entered existence afterward. But that sort of level of kind of reality altering, I think generally in comic books is reserved for magic. So the H dial also sort of, excuse me, the H dial sort of appears or disappears kind of on its own. Like it's not something that shows up in comics very often. There have been a few series, but in general, it's kind of doing its own thing. And usually that level of mystery, I would say, also kind of lends itself to something more like magic than science. So hopefully that answers that question.
Cool.
Cool story, bro. Now we're all just twisting our mustaches.
Yeah.
Because we're totally not 10 or 12 years old. We are men with mustaches.
So you guys,
What?
do you know what next week is?
What is next week? Doctober. Oh.
Spooky.
Yeah, there's
So we're going to start recording the show on a pier somewhere?
yeah. Oh, I don't want to like that joke, but it's so
I
funny.
really like it.
It's so funny. Doctober, you son of a bitch. Oh, god damn it.
Who's evil laughing now, bitches?
Yeah, so Doctober, we're gonna have some fun different things.
Some Halloween themed month. That's what we're gonna do, you guys.
That's right.
Because we've already run out of ideas. So.
Yeah, that's right. We're already
We got this beautiful compliment about how structured our show is, but we're out.
We're too structured.
That's right. It freaked me out too much.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Now we're just gonna go with it and see what happens.
So keep listening every week, and who knows what the next episode's going to be.
There'll be some kind of fun themes for episodes. Undoubtedly, we'll get Colin to do something.
And make sure you stick around the Twitters and the social medias to find out what kind of questions we're asking for. So because they're definitely going to be spooky. Ooh. Don't get too frightened by our social media post. Oh.
No, for real. Don't get too frightened. Stay.
Please don't.
Don't go. Oh my God, don't go.
Don't treat it like that episode where I said don't listen to this episode, and then you guys didn't.
Don't listen to this podcast. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that came off weirdly like an ad.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be so literal. Please don't do that, guys.
But yeah, so Doctober is coming. So mark that off on your calendars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Prepare for next week.
So, as we usually say at the end of every show, thank you guys all very much for your questions and your feedback and your neatness. And if you want to get in touch with us to ask us more questions or inquire about more cool, weird shit, you can hit us up on our email, which is
drdcpodcast@gmail.com.
on Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast.
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast.
Twitter,
@Dr. DC.
Dr. DC Podcast.
No, it's just @Dr. DC on Twitter.
Yeah, I got that. That was pretty fab.
Yeah, he totally missed that.
Yeah, it's
and also on our spunky, cool new website. Well, I guess it's kind of old news now, but
hey, it's
not that old.
And every Monday we post new blog posts.
That's right.
Unless somebody gets sick and then can't post,
or in case
who's that?
Yeah.
Or in case somebody gets kind of super famous and is getting their stuff posted on a DC website, official.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
I mean, we could talk about it in that it happens, but some of us sometimes write little news pieces for a website that publishes DC news pieces.
I took all of my news articles from.
And now the loop is closed.
Yes, absolutely. Also, if you guys want to rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, that actually helps us out a lot. And then we can get cool... we can get advertisers and money and move out of.
We can finally get a new jacuzzi in this.
Yeah, that's it.
In
yeah,
this recording studio.
That's right. So make sure you give us that 5-star review.
We can finally move out of Richard's mom's basement.
That's right.
Just kidding. He's an adult with a house.
Yeah.
God, that's so weird.
Don't forget those 5-star reviews and what Colin does.
Yeah, I trust me, because as much as I like writing my own, I like hearing what you guys have to say even more.
I really enjoyed the one today. That was a lot of fun.
I can tell because you actually went for it.
Yeah. Give us more characters that Colin can try to be, because that's fun.
Yeah, keep it on the level. But
no, I want to try to. I want to see somebody else try to do some accents.
Yeah, that's right. Not just us terribly sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, some kind of sign off.
Adios.
K-Cross 202 for life.
Fuck you.
Superman, all the superheroes. They always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure.